Tik Tok, good evening. It's your girl, T to the double. Twilight. Okay, why is my background not showing? Just chilling on a Wednesday night. I figured I would come on live while I could. Definitely a high chance that this app will not be available in America soon. So I figured why not come on, and talk about the topics that I'm passionate about. Even though I know the high level of trolling on this app is outrageous. But I definitely did want to talk about a few things here. So I'm going to change my background right quick. Guys, bear with me. I'm kind of just learning this app. It's all kind of new to me. So hold on. All right. Let's see here. All right. That's the background. So what's up, anybody who's joining? Today's topic is women want healthy relationships. We do not necessarily care about traditional relationships. Women want healthy relationships. They do not necessarily care about traditional relationships. So we've been hearing it well, first of all, let me just say this. This idea that men are so gung-ho for marriage is a recent phenomenon. I don't know how old many of you are, but I grew up in the 90s, the early 2000s. When I was in my 20s, guys were not running to the altar. And I can't even say that this was specific and limited to my experience, because most of my friends who have gotten married, most of the people who I know from college, from high school, all of them got married in their 30s. Nobody got married in their 20s. In fact, a lot of people was just, sadly, they were having children out of wedlock. But the men always seem to make it like this uphill battle. And they still do this now. But the goal of marriage, they would act like it's the plague. Like, y'all remember Martin? Y'all remember the TV show Martin? How Gina was the perfect woman for him. She was fit, feminine, and friendly. She was on top of her stuff. She never emasculated him. And she was supportive and loyal, attractive and smart. She was trying to be everything that he needed. And he was pretty much a regular dude with maybe just like a few good punchlines, the TV show Martin. And as soon as she mentioned getting married, he flipped. Whole time, Gina, my baby, my world, this, that, and the third. Every episode praising her, exalting her. They live together, etc., etc. They always jump in each other's bones. But as soon as she mentioned marriage, even though he wasn't checking for anybody else, now all of a sudden, it's an issue. Now all of a sudden, he's not necessarily, ready to jump the broom. And he even went so far as to give her a crappy marriage proposal before she left for New York. Now, I know this is a TV show, but art imitates life. And so she went off to New York and just kind of just left him hanging, because she was like, look, I didn't pour it into you. I didn't sacrifice. I didn't, people said I was too good for you. And listen, never mind. So she left. She went to New York. Y'all know the story. He got her back, blah, blah, blah. But I don't recall men being this gung-ho about marriage. I remember them dodging it like the plague. Unless they was in the military. Now, in my personal opinion, military men, they pretty much marry anything, anybody that's in close proximity when they're in the military, because it's my understanding that they get military benefits, whatever. But anyway, my point is that this whole ideology that of this marriage, this need to be married is a recent phenomenon. It's a recent phenomenon. And it's all been the language of manosphere, which got me to thinking that a lot of these men wanted to be married anyway. But what they were doing was they were grooming their wives to be wives, since families no longer groom wives to be wives or groom women to be wives. Now, when I say groom, I want you to understand that there's something gruesome about it. So I'm not saying that grooming is a good thing. I'm actually saying that grooming is a bad thing. I'm saying that they are training these young girls against their will, because they do have free will, whether some people like it or not. Yes, they do have free will. They can absolutely decide whether or not they want to be what their life goals are. If their life achievement isn't being a wife, then why are we shaming them? If that's not your life achievement, that's not your life achievement. Some people like peanut butter sandwiches. Some people like grilled cheeses. And so regardless of how important the impact of said marriage is, you can't force other people into your way of life. So if a young lady coming up has two roads that she wants to take, and one road is leading to marriage and one road is leading to career. If she chooses the career road, give her the pros and cons, let her know what might happen, and then let her decide. Back in the day, the ends to the means, it was women didn't have a choice. So when they talk about traditional marriage, I got to say that they're being slightly disingenuous, because when it comes to traditional marriages, our great grandmothers and stuff would have left those situations if they could have. But they couldn't. They wanted to leave those situations, but they couldn't. So they weren't dutiful women who were there in those relationships, attempting to make those relationships work because they loved your crusty grandpappy so much. They were in those relationships because they would be homeless, and that was the alternative. So taking a few, I'm not going to say the word on TikTok, but taking that and cheating across town was a small price to pay for not living on the streets, for not being a woman who is unprotected and can't protect herself and don't have access to anything. If those women could have left, they would have. And I think that a lot of people understand and know that. So grooming women to be wives, I think, is actually quite sinister. It's really just telling her that your free will doesn't matter. Even God Almighty doesn't mess with people's free will. Sure, you get the consequences of choosing the road that you choose, but even God Almighty don't mess with people's free will. You know? That's right. Tap the screen. Thank you, Tammy. If all women obey, then they just fake and they just fake and don't have to be appealing. That's the goal. If all women obey, then they just fake, take, and don't have to be appealing. Break that down for me, SC. Break that down for me. Let me know what you're trying to say. I might have missed it. So, like I was saying, it was never a situation. Men were vying for relationships and marriage. This is a recent phenomenon. What's up, PG? How you doing,
Hey,
huh?
lady, how are you? How are you?
Good.
We got a good
Excellent.
topic going on here. Thank you so much for inviting me up to the box.
Absolutely. I mean,
I,
this is like my third live. I need to make you a
okay.
moderator
Oh, yeah,
because
absolutely.
how,
Absolutely.
how do I do that?
You know what? I don't know. Because I've never gone live, so I
Mm,
don't know how to operate the controls or whatnot. I don't know if like you would click
mm.
on my picture and then I don't know. I'm guessing that you would click on my pic and then it may give you like an option once you click on my name. I don't
Let
know.
me see. Yeah, it's not really.
No?
Hmm.
No,
Hey,
man.
Caleb. How you doing? Maybe Caleb will tell me. Hold on. Uh,
But Twilight, in regards to your topic that you have going
mm-hmm,
on, I
mm-hmm,
think that what you were saying in regards to our grandmothers, and how people are just saying, "Oh, we had these traditional families and we had these traditional marriages and homes were intact." I think if
mm-hmm.
we had an opportunity to go back to that older generation and really talk to those ladies and just kind of get their feedback, and some of them have offered feedback just on a personal level, but if we were to get it more on a social level, they would realize that the picture that they have in their head is not at all what it really was.
And to that, I'll say I don't even think that they care.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that what's being insinuated here is that we go back to a time where women's voices simply were not being heard.
We're not being heard. And that's the gist of what our grandmother's generation had to endure. They simply were not heard.
I agree.
Exactly.
Hey, ladies.
Hey,
Hey, Caleb, how you doing?
Hey, how y'all doing? No,
what you doing up this late?
Right.
man, I had to clean up. I got to finish cleaning up the kitchen. Give me a second, and then
I
I'm gonna
just
come
got
back.
through
Right?
doing that. That's crazy.
Hey, give me a
Okay,
second.
okay.
Give me a
Yes,
second.
absolutely. I need to clean the kitchen. I got my food ready to put it in the refrigerator, but I ain't cleaned it up yet. But yeah, it's like they don't really want to know the truth about those times.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
They want to extract the benefits of those times for themselves
For
and what
themselves.
it made them feel. I saw a video on two videos. In fact, one person made the video and then the other person stitched it. And then the
Hmm.
first video, the lady was saying that they were talking about how monogamy was like the poor man's kingdom.
Right.
Basically, he couldn't affect change in the outer world specifically because remember, polygamy was huge
Oh,
initially.
hate washing dishes. I'm sorry. You're right.
So polygamy was huge initially, and women would naturally, through natural selection, gravitate towards
The
whoever
man with
the
the most resources.
exactly the man with the most
Mm-hmm.
resources, and he would have his
Mm-hmm.
pick of the litter and a share of a ton of white. Come on, let's get to the Bible. Solomon,
Right. I mean, literally everybody in the
David,
Bible almost
every
was
man in the
polygamy.
Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And so then when they saw that they had these excess of men with all of this dangerous negative energy, he needed something to rule over. He needed something to control. And
Mm-hmm.
that's something that he got to rule over and control was his little kingdom inside his
Mm-hmm.
family. It was like a tiny
Wife
kingdom.
and kids. Because see,
Exactly.
those poor men started revolting on those rich men. If
Mm-hmm.
history serves me correctly, what they was getting off the pick of the litter. So basically, they had to establish a way for poor men to have access to women.
Absolutely.
And it's like, okay, that's pretty much the gist of what you, back to your point of monogamy, is like, look, you have to stay with this one person forever. You can't leave because we don't want these poor men running up on our stuff, on our castle, on our mansions because they can't get nobody. So monogamy says y'all have to stay together forever. Y'all have to die together. So that way he'll always have something, which is you.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is a big game that's being played. But the sad thing is, when it comes to our community, I don't think our male counterparts really understand that this whole game was never designed for us. This is not a way of life that historically ties to us as people. And for us to try, especially in this social climate, for us to try to mimic what somebody else, another group is doing, another race of people is doing, it's not beneficial for us.
Oh,
We're not designed to live like other races of people because we are not like other races of people. Our dynamics are totally different. And plus, black men have a different type of woman than any other woman on the race, on the planet. So it's like
fact.
for you to expect your woman to do what every other race of woman is doing, it's almost backwards because your race of woman is the first person on the planet.
Exactly.
So how could you even
Facts.
expect us to acquiesce to what, I won't say lesser, but women who are not as I don't
Women
even know
we
if the
birth.
right,
Women we
like
birth.
we gave birth to the only thing that predates black women is God himself. And you want us to acquiesce to a status that's lesser than what we are. Instead of trying to get us to acquiesce, just recognize and rest in who we are as women, and you already got an upper hand on everybody on the planet because you come from us and because we love you.
Absolutely. Now I like what I don't know how to pronounce
I
it,
agree.
but she's saying it was a natural spiritual concept, not sexism. Right. Because gender is a social construct, not your
Mm-hmm.
sex. Your sex is XX or XY. You are
Right.
born male or female.
Right.
However, gender is a social construct. All of the things that go along with gender, all of the ideas that
Created by
go,
palm people. Mm-hmm.
yeah, exactly. And so
Palm
we
people
Right.
had a
created that.
natural nature. Like, let me just say this: as people of melanin, we were in alignment with nature, with the earth, with
Yep.
the cycles. I mean, even women, our menstrual cycle is lined up with the moon cycle. We
Mm-hmm.
had an innate understanding. And honestly, I don't know all of the things that they knew back then, but I will say that there was a reason why we had a symbiotic relationship with nature and then man and then woman so that everything could come into equilibrium. It wasn't these strict roles, it was a synergy.
And see, the palm colored
I
man
agree.
had to create that in order for him to maintain his hierarchy. He racism was created, sexism was created, this whole patriarchal system to be traced through him. All of that was created so that he can stay in charge. But it was only for him, not for any other groups.
Now
Absolutely.
watch
Caleb,
this.
what do you have to say?
This I'm I'm of the I'm of the small group of men who believe we have gotten away as black men. I believe we have gotten away from that divine spirit that black women have. And that's why we going through what we're going through. We are not complete. We are incomplete as men right now. I've always felt that black women have a connection with the divine, with the Almighty, with the universe, with the soil, with plants, just with nature in general. I've always felt that black women have a different connection that we as men could never get. Right? Like, who did the Lord and Savior that they like to talk about? Who did he come through? He came through a black woman. When he decided to have certain conversations and needed certain things done, how do we as men find out how we should move and where we should go? Her, your woman's, the black woman's intuition. He tells her to tell us because we won't listen to him. Right? We're not in our divine
Mhm,
masculinity. We've lost
mhm.
touch. So the spirit speaks through her to tell us to do that. And every dude everywhere can say emphatically that there's been some point where his lady has told him, baby, I don't think we should do that. Baby, I don't think you should hang with him. I don't want him back over my house. We've all experienced that. And when we listen, it worked out just like she said. Exactly. Is it Mariah? I don't know how you say it, how you pronounce it, but she's actually right. The ego.
Yeah.
I think we've gotten away from our spiritual connection. I think we've lost touch with that divine feminine spirit that our women have that would lead us right. Because let's face it, if you go back and you study our history, what we can find, a lot of the warriors, the men warriors, they didn't go to war unless they spoke with the women first. Um,
Where do y'all think you lost? Where do you think that black men lost their way, Caleb? And where did it begin?
um, I know a lot of people like to put it on slavery. I've had a million conversations about, oh, we lost it during slavery, so on and so forth. Hey, Cache, I'm glad you came. I might need your help on this one. But
Hey, how you
and I
doing,
know I was supposed
Captain?
to be going to bed. I know I was supposed to be going to bed, but but I saw Twilight and I finally caught her and I saw PG and I was like, let me see what they talking about.
Yeah, I saw
But
Twilight.
no,
I was like, let me see what Twilight
let me
talking
see
about.
what she's talking about. But a lot of people like to put it on slavery, but I think we lost our way um, much more recently than that. Um, I think when we started trying to emulate our oppressor and live his life and trying to push the women of the vanilla village out of second place and try to move into second place behind the vanilla men, I think that's when we lost our way. I think once Medgar and Martin and Malcolm and Bobby and Jack Kennedy, I think once those guys left, I think direction left. I know those weren't the
The
greatest
code of
men, but they had
conduct
some.
left,
The
like
code of
a
conduct left. You code of conduct left, respect left, honesty left. You move into the 80s and the 90s, street code changed,
mm-hmm,
bro
mm-hmm.
code,
Hmm.
I was
bro
telling
code.
somebody the other day when it came to the street code, because I grew up in Chicago in the 90s. And if
Right.
they were about to do any gang activity or drive-bys, they would tell all the women and children, get in the
Get
house.
get in the house.
Mm.
Yeah. There was a different loyalty to a different respect for the neighborhood and the people in it. Um, People respected your hustle back then. If you wasn't for the streets, then the streets would let you know this ain't where you supposed to be when you were in the street.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there was a time when if you was a ball player, if you was a A student, a nerd or whatever, and you went to the street, they was, oh no, you got a game tomorrow. You gotta go. You can't be out here.
Yep.
There was a time
Hmm.
when if you had beef with a guy, it was just you and him. You didn't chop up the whole neighborhood, miss him and lay out five other people. Um, there was a time when our women actually didn't have to worry about protection from the very same dudes who are now the children of the guys who used to protect. Now these men who are their children want you to look to them for protection, but they're the ones you need protection from as women, as black
Hmm.
women. So a lot has been lost. We've had 30 plus years of the worst, most misogynistic, disrespectful music toward black women in the history of entertainment. It only the only thing that rivals the music from the 90s into the 2000s is probably black exploitation films. But the only reason we had black exploitation films is because those actors and actresses couldn't get into the white films of Hollywood. We we've we have since the 80s, men my age and our sons who are now in their 30s, in their 40s, we've sat back and watched women have to figure out everything. And we haven't taken responsibility for the things that we've done since the 80s. It's been 40 years that black women have had to carry the entire black community.
Now you know
And
what,
now
Caleb?
that,
You know what they will
what's that?
say? They will
What they'll
say
say.
that, yeah, we carried it, but we did a terrible job.
And
We
they'll
did
call
a
it a
horrible
matriarchy.
job.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The
Even if you did,
matriarchy is what's got them all messed up. It's what's got them
oh,
not being able to just
okay.
function in life.
So this is, and my
And we don't even
pushback when
have a
I hear this,
matriarchy. We have a failed patriarchy. That's what we
we have a
have.
failed patriarchy.
Would you
Mm-hmm.
tell?
It
A
never was a
failed
matriarchy.
patriarchy.
Yeah.
It, when you hear guys say that, that is to absolve the black men of the black community of the failure that is rampant among black men right now. It's rampant, and it's you're looking at literally 2.5 generations, half of Gen X, which is my generation,
Mm-hmm.
half of the millennials, damn near all the millennials, and damn near all of Gen X, Gen Z. They're when we talking men from their late 20s into their 60s are trash. Like anytime you hear a man talk about body count, that should be the last thing you're worrying about, bro, because you should be concerned about being the last body. But then I gave this, I said this in another live, right? And I got to tell you this, Twilight, because this, I got to tell you this. I said this in another live to a guy. I said, imagine over a 10-year period, you're asking a woman about her body count in a 10-year period, and she has three sexual partners a year, over 10 years, that's 30. He was like, damn, that's a lot of niggas for her to be sleeping. That's a lot of niggas. I said, yeah, but in the same time period, you've had three a month.
Mm,
They don't have
not
a
You
response
have,
mom.
for that.
and he was like, nah, see, a man body count don't know because in the same 10-year period, bro, you got 360 bodies and she has 30. Who should we be more concerned with? Her 30 over a 10-year period or your 360? And out of those 360, how many babies have you had? How many times did you strap it up? Versus saying, well, she controlled access to sex. Apparently not. You had 360 partners in 10 years.
You know my issue with that, Caleb. My issue
What's
with
that?
the whole and what's up, sis? You see, we rolling on with the same conversation.
Oh yeah. Oh
Hey.
yeah. Party time.
hmm But yeah, my issue with that is that they have, like how there's predatory lenders out there, like payday loans and shit,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of guys is out offering payday loan P. And what I mean by that is they coming up to you and they telling you finna get the same loan you gonna get at Bank of America. So they telling you finna get this loan, but they finna give you 800% interest rate.
High
Okay.
risk.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
right,
Put
right,
your life at risk, not tell you all the facts so you can make an informed decision. Prey on
Mm-hmm.
the fact that they really want you, or they really want to conquer you, or whatever their objective is, and not give you an opportunity to make a clear decision, and then fill you up, love bombing you, fill you up with all this adoration, etc. And at the end of the
right.
day, it's like a crusty ass payday loan. Now you look up, you didn't took it out for $500. Now 2 months later, it's
Right.
$963,723 million.
And
It's not
the
even worth
sad
it.
part, of all of that is the responsibility lies on the woman and the accountability lies on the woman because these gentlemen like to make, and I use the term gentleman loosely, but they like to put the responsibility on you for how they loosely spread their seed around and then question your accountability when you are the one that has to raise the child.
It's
So
gaslighting.
we
It
But
it
is.
see, the problem
at
with
its at
that though,
its
Caleb, is
finest,
that the
at its
person who's
finest.
responsible is the person who's the leader. So if you're going to be responsible, then you're in charge.
Well, see, a leader only the way they want to describe and live out this phrase leader, it's only they've reduced themselves to the value or the contents of the wallet. This is why
Mm,
they say, well, I'm a protector and a provider.
okay.
Or all women want is money. They want a
So
man with
basically,
six
you got a
figures, six
job and
figures
a
to
gun,
do.
a
And
job
that's
and a
what
pew
makes them
pew.
the leader.
And
Yeah.
that's what makes you a leader. See, well, I
Gotcha.
call it, I call it
We obviously don't share the same definition of leadership because I think of them as dominators and dictators.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, well, they want doormats. They don't want a woman of substance. They want a doormat. They want
They
you to
want a
go
pet.
back.
Yeah.
They want you to go back to a time where women didn't have their voice. They want you to go back to pre 1975 before you could get a bank account
And
or
what would
a
that do
car
for them
loan.
though, Caleb? Like a lot of these
It
guys
keeps
can't fight themselves out of a paper bag. So you want somebody to just sit there and be silent?
no, it's not about protection or providing. It's all about access. See, at that
Okay.
time, if you didn't want him, he could effectively go to a car dealer or a bank and a loan officer or an apartment complex and say, hey, when PG comes in here, don't give her nothing without my approval. And
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
keeps you readily dependent on him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now
That
that
you know,
post,
I wasn't a part of that time, so I didn't know how bad it was. But okay.
that was bad.
Right.
That
Right.
was pretty bad.
Can we
Um,
talk about? Oh, were you done, Caleb? I didn't want to cut you
Yeah,
off.
well, I was just going to say, in post 1975, women were able to have a voice. And so now what we have today is a lot of grandmothers, great aunts, great great grandmothers, if you were privileged enough to talk to her, they will tell you to never ever depend on a man in this generation. They'll tell you, and you notice yourself, a lot of them, when they either get divorced or their husbands pass on, they never ever ever get
Never
married.
got married.
But what
Mm-hmm.
you see also
Mm.
is those women in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, they start to live their best life. Their skin clears
They
up,
flourish. Yep.
their hair grow back, they
It be
change
like
their
they be waiting
wardrobe,
for
they
their
start to
husbands to
travel.
pass though. Don't they
I
be
swear to
sitting
God.
around like, ooh, I just
They
wish
were
he
they weren't they weren't the
they was
happiest. They
dead.
just put on the best
No,
face. They put
they
on their
were
best face.
miserable.
Yeah.
A lot of our grandmothers and great aunts and aunties and even some of our mothers were married to straight narcissistic pedos because a lot of these dudes were in
Mm.
their 20s and
Right.
30s and those women were girls 12 to 16 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of them had to marry these dudes because that's what you did back then if your family didn't actually give you to the guy for a bag of rice.
So,
So
so a piece of my mind. I want to hear her perspective
please,
really quickly. What did you have to
please
say?
go ahead.
Sis?
I want to talk about how a lot of BMs. I try to use abbreviations so I don't get nobody kicked off their live, but
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Thank you.
or so your stuff won't be download. Now you can't download your live because somebody that got loose lipped. But
Mm-hmm.
but the fact that I would say about 30 times a week, and I'm not even exaggerating, I get called a WS. So if you don't know what a WS is, think
Mm-hmm.
of ADOLF.
A
What?
D O O S.
Yeah.
We mean palm colored supremacy? I'm sorry.
Yes, yes,
Supremacy.
yes, yes.
Oh,
I get called
Why
what?
that
would they
about
call you
30
that? What?
What?
because they call me that because I stand up for the rights that specifically affect black women within the black community. So they feel like
So
I'm
because you're
being
not centering them.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
So because
You
I'm
mean the
not
black?
centering them, then I get labeled as that. And I was like, well, you the one sound like that because you the one talking about you finna get you a foreign wife
Right.
and and you don't
It's
care. You
projection
dismiss
at
us
the end
of
of the
our
day.
issues.
It's
Wow.
very
Wow.
much so giving projection at the end of the day. This is what I've
Wow.
learned, guys. This is what
Good
I've learned.
Lord.
Um, so they say that. because they are that. It's because of what they're doing. Guys, from what I see, they externalize. Women internalize. So, for example,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
if women are going through something, we beat ourselves up for the
Mm-hmm.
most part. If men are going through something, they beat somebody else up for the most
Mm-hmm.
That
part.
part. That
Right.
part.
And so when it comes to their emotions, they project that on to others. A lot of what they say about us is actually about them.
Mm-hmm.
That's facts.
It really
That's
is.
facts. I mean, it's what I hear when I listen, and you know, this is social media. This is TikTok. This is Instagram. This isn't the real world. This isn't real life. But
Mhm.
what this version of social media has done, especially TikTok, is give those men and those women who a friend of mine calls abuse recruiters. What we call
Mm-hmm.
pick me.
Mhm,
What it has done is given them a platform to spew their stupidity. These
And
are
they
the
can meet
people,
like-minded psychos.
and they can be like-minded idiots,
mhm,
right?
Mm-hmm.
mhm,
So what I started doing about a month and a half ago was systematically blocking them, because it's a waste of time for me to go in and bring it from a certain perspective, from a certain lifestyle, from seeing it, from watching it happen, because I was born in it, and watching it happen today, and then having daughters in their 20s who are actually having to date some of these fools. So I started blocking them, because it's like watching them stand on the same corner with the women from the Vanilla Village. It's like you standing up there with Pasty Patsy, and you looking and sounding just like her. It's amazing to me, the correlation, how close black men and white women are,
Because
and
they
that's
have the
only
same
because
objective, Caleb.
the same
They have the
objective,
same. They
the
both want to
same
be the
exact,
same person,
the
and
Vanilla
each
Village,
one
and what
each one of them are missing it by a certain thing. Like she
by a
has the
certain
color,
thing,
mhm.
but not the gender. He has the
right?
gender, but not the color.
Not the
And they
color,
both
and
trying to be the
that's
same
why.
And
person.
they in
Mm-hmm.
And
torment, ain't they in purgatory?
They
Because
are
of
in
that,
torment
they
trying
in
to be
straight
like one person,
purgatory trying to be
and
that.
neither one of them will ever make it.
And
And
that
you
they
know,
I
they had a
honestly think that's
fit.
why they make the best couples together.
Because they both
yeah,
trying to
because
be
they're
the
the
same
exact same
person.
person. It's
Mm-hmm.
the two sides of a mirror. It's a
Right.
two-way mirror.
They
He
had
looks
a
Right.
through and
fit.
sees her.
Yep.
You know, I dated one for a while. I dated Napkin Nancy for a while,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
and in my 20s. It's about 30-ish, 32 years ago. And I actually tried it twice. In my very early 20s, I was like 20, 21. But that didn't go anywhere. She was white Italian. Her dad was, insanely prejudiced. So that lasted a couple of months. But this other one, that lasted, almost a year. Let me tell you why I ended. I could not. God is my witness. I the the whole aura was off. The vibe was off. The smell was off. The the
Not the
the
smell.
the yes, the taste was off. And I'm not
The
saying
aroma
because I
was just
went
not kicking.
downtown. I'm not saying because I went downtown, because I did
Oh,
not go
okay.
downtown. But just,
I
Caleb said the
mean,
aroma,
I
the
want to
aroma
make
was not
sure.
giving.
I want to make sure I say that right now. It did not taste like pumpkin pie. I don't know about no damn pie. I don't eat no
Caleb,
pumpkin pie.
Caleb,
But
do not
uh,
get my lie.
but it just was off. It was like, before her, I was dating a young black woman I had crushed on, and we started dating. We dated for a couple of years, right? And then we broke up, and that's when I started dating African Nancy, and just like the touch was off. the feel was off. The like her, like she would come in and I would, hug her like, hey, what's going on? And, go in for a smooch, and it just did not mesh. It was like trying to swim upstream with lead boots on. It didn't it
So
didn't smell right.
what interests you in her in the first place? Like, what was the attraction?
Well,
That's a good question.
originally we were in the same business. We were in the pharmaceutical business at that time.
Mm.
And so she was actually a client, and I was on the distribution end, and she was on the purchasing end, and we kind of hit it off
Mm.
because she worked at a certain place who was looking for somebody to they were looking for a distributor, and I was a distributor, low level, and we just clicked like that, and then it just morphed into something over the course of, like I said, almost a year. But when it came time to, you know, what's the word, consummate, I was like, I can't. Like it. I'm telling you, the best words I've rattled my brain for years about it, but the best words I've been able to come up with over decades of thinking about this was just the aura, the vibe, the smell. It
Was it more
was,
mental or physical? What was the
it
one that
was,
turned?
it was, it was mental. It was
Okay.
physical. It was spiritual. It was emotional. Like there was the attraction was there because she had the shape, okay, but everything else
Mm.
was off. It's like
Somebody
certain
said tangy.
conversations.
They said, was it tangy?
I don't know. I ain't even. You know
The
what? Hood
comment
rap.
section be
You can
wild,
stop.
man.
You got a right
I know
name,
because I
high
be in the
kicks, because
comments.
that
It
was
be
some
wild.
high damn thing. Come on, some tangy. How to? See this? I can't do this. I'm trying to be tangy. I mean, come on, man. I'm just saying, man. Like. I should have took my ass to bed is what I should have
Me
did.
too. I know I
What
should went to bed. Somebody put tangy.
but it was wild, man. And so after that, I was just like, yeah, I'm done. I've swum in the dirty end of the pool, and I'm good. I mean, we were still friends. We still worked together. We still made a decent amount of money together. But I was just straight up with her.
How
I
did
was
you
like,
end
look,
it,
I
Caleb?
can't.
How did you end it?
I was just about to say. I was just like, look, we got to talk. And she came from the club, and she came over, and I told her, I say, look, you know, I can't be with you like that no more. We can't kick it no more. We still do business and everything, but say why? I mean, I thought, I'm like, yeah, but it's just, I can't do it. It's a certain thing that I like, and you just don't have it, and that was
Mm.
it, and that was it. I dated two napkin Nancy's in my life in my early 20s, like between 20 and 25, and I haven't done it since. And I mean, it's like, you see a nice car and you go, ooh, that's nice. And then you go, okay, I can't afford that shit. And then you leave. And that's because that connection, man, wasn't there. And because I had just gotten out of a relationship with, a woman who was my crush at the time, to go into that a couple months later, oh my God. When I would
Hey.
hug her and I would smell her, I don't want to say, I don't want to say
That's
wet dog smell, but man, it
Okay,
was
Caleb. Okay, Caleb. We gonna cut you off right there.
okay. I'm sorry.
gross.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, piece of my
A
mind.
piece
I'm
of my
sorry.
mind. It seemed like you want to say something. Go ahead. You got the floor, sis. And then
Please.
you, PG.
I didn't have much to say about that. I have never dated outside of my race before. The closest I've come was a guy that was mixed. So he had like a black mom,
Ooh.
white dad, but I've never dated just like a full-fledged
Mm.
non-black guy before. And I'm actually quite open to it. I've been
Yeah,
Okay, peace of
yeah.
like
my mind.
environment. I think my issue has been proximity. I'm not opposed to it at all, but I actually think
Mm.
I mesh well
So all
Man,
that traveling
better.
you doing, you ain't meeting no Italians,
I mean,
Syrians.
I've met. I tend to leave people where they are.
Mm.
So,
Take it
so
easy,
it's
lady.
like, we'll hang out like while I'm there, but after I come home, I'm like, dude, you like 1,000 miles away. I'm like, no, I can't do the long distance thing. But
Mm.
if I did meet somebody that was in a closer proximity, I would be completely open to it. I feel like I would have, and this I don't know if this is bad to say or not, but I feel like I would have more in common,
Mm.
just for the
That's
simple
it.
fact
You
of the,
know,
huh?
sis, what they've been talking about lately, and I've been really thinking about this, is compatibility versus sustainability. Like, we
Mm-hmm.
have largely chosen, or many of us have largely chosen our mates based on compatibility. But what we have not really considered is sustainability. Someone with,
That part.
shared values, somebody who's on the same path as you are, someone who looks at life from the same perspective that you do. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
You talking about me,
Great point.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I
Good
I
point.
think those are key points. Just for the simple fact of, I feel like I prefer to date a guy who grew up in a two-parent household like I did,
Mm.
because I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that cuts out a lot of the BS. If he's seen a functional marriage between a man and a woman, that cuts out half the BS right there, because we both know our roles at that point. Secondly, I'm very adventurous. Like, I like to jump off of stuff. I like to skydive. I like to
Mm.
jump in the pool. I like to
Okay.
I got so tired of dating dudes who can't swim. And I'm like,
Oh
so how we
man.
supposed to go on a vacation and you don't want to go in the deep end of the pool, let alone the ocean?
Mm.
So
Right.
I'm like, I'm not the best swimmer, but I will jump in 9 feet of water because I know how to come back up and I know how to get myself, I know how to
Mm.
stay afloat.
I'm
And
glad
and
I
I,
grew up
I
on the
mean,
beach, boy.
yeah, and I'm like, I tried different foods. I tried camel meat for the first time when I went to
Was it good?
Jordan. It
I'm
was
definitely gonna have
actually
to
pretty
get that.
good. It tastes a little bit like lamb.
See, a
It
piece of my mind knows how to live life. I like
it
that.
tastes a little
Love
You,
bit
it.
what's
like
your
lamb.
sign, sis? What's your
Huh?
sign? What's your
I'm a
sign?
cancer. I'm a
You're a
A
cancer.
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 Okay.
Okay. Yeah, she knows how to live life. I like that.
Yeah, and I'm like,
That's what
I
I'm
like to
talking about.
go hiking. Like, I just bought a
Mm-hmm.
pair of hiking boots. I was so excited about. Like, I go on like 2 and 5 mile bike rides, sometimes 18 miles round trip around the city, and it's just like I do what they call envelopian people stuff.
You
Envelopian.
definitely do,
I
but
love
I
that.
like that
Envelopian.
in you. I like
So
that.
I'm just
Okay,
like,
so PG,
Yeah.
same question. Have you ever dated outside of your race?
I have. It has not gone beyond dating, meaning it never led to a relationship, but dating, just casually dating, meeting people for dinner, talking, going to events, absolutely. I
Mm.
have. From in my experience, I'm a social person. I'm a human. I like human interaction. And
Mm.
I hate to say this, but I was treated like a human being when I started dating outside my race.
Mm.
I was
That part.
treated, I had conversation. I had people who had an interest in my life, an interest in who I
Mm.
was as a person. I felt
Mm.
like I was seen. I felt like this person would sit across from the table and really take an active interest in trying to get to know who I am as a person. And that
Mm.
was unfortunately the first time I really experienced that, as opposed to someone who just thought that I looked a certain way and that was pretty much the beginning and the end of their interest, which was
Mm.
disheartening. It was very disheartening. But to experience that with someone outside of my community, it was like, wow, this person is actually talking, this person is engaging, this person is following up in conversation, this person is talking with me more than one time a week. It was a different experience. I felt like I was treated like a
Mm.
person.
Mm.
Now I got a question for you, ladies.
Okay.
okay,
This PG brings up a great point. A lot of us, and I'm gonna preface this, and then I'm gonna ask that question. A lot of us
Mhm.
see these dates or get to know you sessions as previews to we going back to your place or my place.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Did you feel like that, PG, when you dated outside?
No.
And then for the rest of you, have you seen the 90-day list for men that this guy keep putting up?
Oh my
What
God,
do you
I
think
saw the
about
list
that?
for both men and women. Yeah.
I have
I
not.
didn't feel like I had to go to a Netflix and chill out with outside my race. I did not feel that,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
And for me, I am not going to a dude's house, nor is he coming to mine. And
Right.
I've heard too many dudes say that if they pay for 2 to 3 dates in a row,
They
then they
said
know they
three.
can
Yeah, I
smash.
heard three.
And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no, you can't. I'm not even finna kiss you after the third date, whether you paid for it or not. So I mean, at that point, I'll offer to pay for the dates after he's
Yeah, I
done
was
two
in a
or three
live where the
dates.
dude was like, if we're not going back to my house after the third date, then you need to start paying for the dates.
You
And I
know
don't mind that.
what? Here's my thoughts on that. Any man who has a list is a
Oh,
man that I don't want to talk to.
Thank you.
And that's period.
that
I
part.
don't want to talk to a man who doesn't understand how to organically connect with a woman.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to talk to anybody who doesn't care how I feel and what I need in terms of being able to be an active and willing participant in this courtship that we're engaging in. I don't want anyone that static. And a matter of fact, if you need a list, you just let me know you kind of stupid because essentially you should have some sort of rubric or some character measurement or standards. But if you literally need a list of do's and don'ts, it's giving kindergarten. It's
Mm-hmm.
giving I just started dating for real in my 30s.
I
Like,
haven't seen the rules. What's they 90-day rules?
Dang.
Oh my God,
Sup,
it was
Dad?
something crazy. Like, don't go to her house, don't engage with
Yeah.
her kids,
Right.
don't show emotional connection. Just don't contact them,
well,
don't text. It,
well,
it
the
was it was
Yeah.
don't go
crazy.
to her, don't engage with her kids. I
Hmm.
agree
Don't
with
Right.
that.
help her with her kids. Yeah,
But the part what got me was the no contact, right?
right.
No calling, no texting, good morning, good evening, good night, all that.
But
No.
Caleb, did you see the list for the women though? Did any of y'all see the list for the women? Because he put one
I
out there.
did.
Okay,
He
he
put
was
one
saying
out
on the
for the
women's
women.
list, he was like, "Oh, well, you should submit to your man's leadership, lead with your heart, have a woman's mind, be submissive, be agreeable, always let your man lead." So it was more so like women
Yeah.
have to follow this relationship template, whereas men have to follow this, just protect yourself from getting involved template. So it's more like dating for men, but relationships for women.
A marriage.
Well,
No, it's
there's
he put a marriage, a straight up marriage template
Yeah,
for women.
that's exactly what it sounded like.
see, he got
And
And
this
it was
idea from
serious.
Napkin Nancy. Napkin Nancy has her list, and she's been doing this for about 6 months, where she put the list up so women can protect themselves and not get themselves in a certain position to be taken advantage of. Now, this guy abuse is abuse, bro. Your name, your name is abuse. Like you don't even have to talk. That's your profile name.
That's
You
the
should
guy's
never talk.
name who did the list.
No, he's in this guy here is in the
Oh,
comments. He calls himself abuse is abuse. And he's saying, but women have a list, but their list is more based on protection. The way Napkin Nancy originally wrote it 5 or 6 months ago. And she does a live 2 or 3 times a week with this list. Well, that's where
well,
he
they
got the
always the
idea
ones typing
from
in
her.
all caps too. Like,
Right.
why
okay,
are they always the
Um,
ones typing in all caps?
but
thanks for
I
bringing me
don't
up,
know,
host.
but I mean, it's like when that lady put that list out, it was literally so that women could protect themselves because you don't have women going around raping men. You don't have women going around unaliving men because they declined to respectfully to give a woman their phone number. You
So
don't
wait,
have
he
that.
got triggered by somebody else's list, and that's
Yeah,
what sparked him to make this list.
by a whole napkin day, by a whole from a
So this
chick
is
from
just a
over there in the caucus
retaliation.
mountain.
Wow, this dude
That's
is so petty.
exactly what it is. That's
Wow.
exactly what it is. She's been doing this
So
for
They
six
stay
months or
on
so.
point
okay,
with
I
us.
got 9 boxes.
Oh, you
Yes.
better do it, Twilight.
okay,
You got
so
9
I
boxes.
didn't know that. So from what I was
I
told
didn't
from one
either.
of his followers was that both of the lists were for men. Like there was a side that he made for men, but he also made a list for what men would want from a woman for the women's list. So it's not per se particularly a woman's list. It's just what men want
It's
from.
not. No, it's not. Because again,
Right.
where he got the concept from was from the lady from the Caucasus Mountains, who's been doing this for about 6 months or so. She. I don't know if it was her or one of her friends was hurt on a date or something, but she put that together, and it was literally for women to protect themselves.
So he's
He
triggered.
took
That's
that.
all that is.
Yeah, he's triggered. He took that idea from her and came up with his list about a month and a half ago or so. That's where it came from.
That's why we can't get nowhere. It's always a tit for tat.
Mm-hmm.
Gang
Uh,
gang.
Hello.
Hey Dad.
Gang
so
gang.
abuse. What do
Host.
they
How
you
you doing,
want to
host?
contribute to
Hey,
the
Dab.
conversation?
I was trying to let the host know that I have both of those lists.
Oh, you
Oh.
Okay.
do?
Oh, she got okay.
Nice.
We got receipts.
And
Nice.
Caleb,
Yo.
he said out the
Uh,
horse's mouth to me because
yeah.
he tried to check me in his live.
Okay.
Well, he
What?
called me to his live to check me. Let's get that right.
Oh man.
Um, Twilight, this your backup,
Uh-uh. This my man.
No, this the man.
It's the
but
man.
he said that he made this list from listening to the complaints of other women. So I'm assuming, I don't know if y'all
What?
know who Black Panther is. I mean, the Panther page or the Panther, whatever it is.
Mm-mm, I hadn't
No.
heard of that.
Okay, so it's a
Mm-mm.
troll. Well, I won't call it a troll page. He just posts everybody's lives. If you're having a good live and he come about it, he gonna post it, right?
Mm.
Um, but he said that he called the women followers of the emotional men on his page. He called them films. So the films
What?
What?
told him that this is what women want, and that is why he created this list. He
They
said
want the
What?
because these
women's
are
list.
complaints.
What?
Yeah, he said
Which?
these are complaints of women, and
Uh,
that's why he created this list.
the men's list was a complaints of women, so he created that list for men.
Yes, that's what he said.
Oh,
That fool
okay.
crazy.
Really?
Yep.
Huh.
Yeah, he called himself trying to check me because I don't know. Caleb, you wasn't in that live. You was in that live when I
Uh-uh.
had the live about the list.
Mm.
Yeah, I was. Actually, I was. Yeah.
Yeah, the next day he called himself the lady that was from Islam that
Mm-hmm.
created all the chaos in my life that
Mm-hmm.
night.
Yep.
Her and Kana went back and told him that I was calling
Lord.
his live stupid, and the men were up in the live talking about he was stupid, and the list was stupid, and all this. Like, we was talking bad about him. So when I got in
Right.
this live, I told him, I said, bro, I don't even know you. I don't know nothing about you.
Fact.
I ain't never been in your live. I said, I just posted this list because that's what you do on TikTok. You find things to talk about. So I posted the list to talk about.
But why he didn't call me? Because I'm the one that called him stupid. And if any of y'all people listening that follow him, tell him Caleb underscore Jones 37 called him stupid. Now
They quick
call
to
me to
check
your live.
women, but they
Mm.
ain't quick to
I
check
know that's
men.
right.
And y'all
And then
heard it.
he told me,
It's
then he said,
26 people.
any man who think that list is stupid is weak. So I told him, I said,
Then
so by your definition, I said, so because they don't follow the lifestyle you want them to follow, they weak because they don't follow your ideology.
This is why
they only
Dab and
say that to
Cache,
women. They don't never have smoke for men.
Mm,
Never.
never.
mm.
And Dab and
Yeah,
Cache will
he
tell
picked the
you.
right one that day because he thought he was about to check me. If y'all would have really heard how he was talking before he realized I was in the live, and then when I got in the box, that whole
And I
setup
was
was for
following
them
you
to
back.
ambush me, but it didn't go down.
Hold on real
And
quick. Dab, did I make you a moderator?
Probably not on here. This
Okay.
back. This is
PG, did I
Cache.
moderator?
Let me see. Let me see if I can go in and moderate.
because I know
Yes, you.
Rise,
I'm a
me and Rise,
moderator.
I
You
guess
made me
we
one.
weak in it.
Okay, Dab, I think I made you a moderator too.
Okay.
Because you're not gonna tell me you sit on this social media app all day and, Lord forgive me, bitch and gripe for 3, 4, 5 hours about women, and you want to call a woman to your live to so-called check her when I'm the guy that called you stupid. In fact, I believe I called him a dumbass, if
You
I'm
He
not
wasn't
didn't
even the
want
mistaken.
you,
only
Caleb.
one.
He didn't want you, Caleb.
You
He knew
wasn't the
what to
only
do.
one.
Yeah.
Right, I'm
Caleb,
attractive.
they're just doing what they normally do, which is blaming a woman
I'm,
for a man's actions.
Pretty much.
but I'm attractive. I'm 6'4", about 270. I'm attractive. I think
Hey,
I keep my.
storyteller.
They don't want
What's up,
smoke with
Twilight?
men. They don't want
I
smoke with
mean,
men.
Ah, what up,
oh, they
storyteller?
don't. Okay.
Oh, what's up,
Hey,
Dabs? Hey,
storyteller.
panel. Hey, Caleb.
Hey,
Hey,
Hi.
storyteller.
How y'all
No,
doing?
so when they
good.
called me in the line to check me,
Hey,
it was
story.
him. It was a dude who
Hey.
created the list. It was two other dudes, and then it was Kanai and that lady from Islam. When they called me, when I got to the live, and when he realized I was in there, he was like, "Oh, here she go, here go Dad Customs. I need you to get in the box." But I had already sent the request. But yeah, he didn't say
Mm,
nothing about that. He said that list was created because women have been complaining, and these are the complaints from
right.
women because we be saying we don't want to. We tired of men blowing our phones up and texting us, and but I'm like, what? Okay.
That dude lying. He don't even talk to enough women to even
I told
compare.
y'all
Right.
they called them the films. They called the emotional. They called it man the emotionals, and the women who follow them they call them films. FEM.
Mm.
Mm.
Wow.
That's
So
what they be
They just
I
be
calling
making
bought.
up
themselves.
stuff.
Hang on one second. I bought Rise Black Kings up because he
Yes,
said, "I guess I'm weak then."
I
So,
guess so. My
brother,
man.
you know, do you want to elaborate on that?
No, I was just agreeing with Caleb. I don't know. The whole list thing is weird to me. I'm going off of intention and going off of just I don't know. I'm kind of like free willing it. I don't know. I don't have like a preset list for dating people. I just like go off of just how things play out. I let people show me who they truly are over time, and most people
That
do.
part.
So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Rise, didn't you call it the epidemic list?
Yeah,
Pandemic
the
list.
pandemic date
The
list.
pandemic list. He did.
Yeah, no holding hands, no kissing, no nothing. I'm like,
Pandemic Dateland.
the
I'm
pandemic date
That's
mad.
a
list.
good one.
The
I
lockdown
mean,
list.
and
You hear
for
me?
me, I'm a very hands-on type of a guy. I like to hold hands. I might walk
Me
behind
too.
you with my finger hooked through the back of your belt loop. I'm big on PDAs. I like to squeeze. I like kiss on you. Blah 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 blah. That so how do you, with a list like that? How do you even
That's
get to know someone?
Caleb. That's what
What is
I
it?
said because I like talking on the phone. So if you don't talk to me in about the first
Mm,
4 days,
I
I
like.
might not talk to you ever
I
again.
might not talk to
Right.
you
Oh,
no
we're
more.
not
Assume you're
gonna
not
make it to 90
interested.
days.
Yeah.
And most men like physical touch. So half of that list is saying
Physical
that if your
touch.
love language is physical touch, then don't touch
Uh,
me. That's
that's
basically
what I
what
was
they're
just
saying.
about to say. My love language was physical touch until the pandemic, actually.
You're right.
Oh, okay. But
I
that's
just
what I'm
feel like
mine.
what we've seen from the pandemic, and you mix in Kitten Hills. I think what we've seen is that the pandemic exposed a lot of black men. It exposed a lot of flaws. It exposed a lot of insecurities.
Mm,
With the pandemic, you weren't able to use your hands and your muscle. You had to use your brain, and
ooh.
none of us, a majority of us, didn't know how to
Okay,
make
Mr.
that
Mama.
transition from
See
using
you later,
muscles to using
sweetheart.
your brain. They just, and I think what you're seeing is a direct correlation of not having any social skills
Ooh,
outside of what your wallet is,
facts.
um, and what you could do for somebody, not having any people skills, so you can't hold a conversation like PG said. Um, I think your what the pandemic did was put everything about black men on Front Street that everybody has been saying for the last, just from the crack epidemic, for the last 40, 45 years. Everything that people been saying about black men collectively, pandemic exposed it in 2, 3 years.
And since then, they've been fighting for their lives.
They've been
Okay,
Yes,
because
because
struggling,
this is
you
what
know
kind
what,
of
they
struggling.
really
blows
did get
me.
louder then.
I don't
Yeah,
recall these men being so, what's the word, stuck and stagnant before then.
stagnant,
I don't
Stuck is
stagnant,
recall
exactly it. They refuse to
stagnant is
evolve
the
is what
word.
the problem is. That's exactly what it
that.
is. They
The
There you
white
they
go.
don't want to
flag.
evolve. That's why they talk
They were probably
about
always
Okay.
traditional
stagnant. The
this.
pandemic just
You
revealed it.
go,
The
girl.
pandemic is what
Exactly.
made so many people evolve. Okay, Caleb, because I remember you said the women were taking the classes online, they were opening
Absolutely,
up businesses, et cetera, et cetera.
absolutely.
They were doing PPP fraud. I ain't the one to gossip. You ain't heard that from me.
It
That
was
Right.
for
kind of thing
educational purpose.
for
For
educational
educational
purposes
purposes
only.
only, right? And so what we saw was when the pandemic happened and we were forced into the house. Now the guys that did concrete and cut grass and mechanics
Hmm.
and truck drivers and to a certain degree and so on and so forth, all of the men who worked with their hands and used their muscles weren't able to do that. The pandemic didn't call for you to
Mm,
be needed. It called for you to be wanted. And black men don't know how to go from being needed to being wanted.
mm,
So when
That
it
plays
came
out in
time
another
to
area, doesn't it?
now
mm-hmm.
and it
Hmm.
exposed
Caleb, you going
the
in, bro?
inability or the unwillingness to evolve. This is why you
Hmm.
still have them in this current environment. This is why you have a lot of dudes like the list guy and big nose passport dude. This is why you have these
The
dudes
snapping
still
turtle. The
they're
snapping
stuck.
turtle.
Yeah, the snapping turtle.
They still call him that.
They're
Y'all
still
name
stuck. They're stuck.
That's
these
so
And
sad.
names, child.
the society, I'll give you a perfect example. Watch this. Not to dominate the conversation, but I'm gonna give you because I want y'all opinion on this. They have we collectively as black men, we have watched the the guy at the top of the food chain, the napkin Neil, right? We've watched him bypass his own woman, bypass black men, and make the decision, business decision, financial decision to work with black women because black women have put in the work and shown that if you put something in me, I'll give it back to you double.
That's the concept of a
Yeah,
womb.
man.
That's the concept of multiplying. You put
Hmm.
something in the womb, you're gonna get children out of it. It's
Absolutely.
innate in women to whatever you give them, they're going to multiply it. And I did say women. I didn't say all of those other
No.
malignancies of womanhood. I said woman. But hang on one second. Storyteller wanted to know what was scrolling on my screen. So the topic of the live is women want healthy relationships, not traditional. And what that is back there is the therapist who
Whoa.
said she wasn't taking any more male clients. And then there was a Twitter post where the girl responded and said, now, I don't understand how women are defending these men when they're sending these very same men to therapy because they know these men are harmful. So, why is it such a surprise that this therapist feels threatened by them? It's like
She said
making
How
they
do
it.
y'all
activate her
feel about
central
that
nervous system.
situation?
It's sad.
I feel
Very.
like she has every right, and I
For
don't think it's
real.
right for men to feel. There's specializations in all kinds of fields. You know, you wouldn't get mad at a pediatrician for only serving children and not adults. You wouldn't get mad
Come
at an
on, bro.
OBGYN for only servicing women and not men. Like that, she has every right to specialize in just women.
Girl was in the live the other day being funny. I said, so can I tell my doctor, can I get my doctor's license? Because he told me I had high blood pressure and I didn't like that. So can I take can I take his license?
Take it
Because
to
I don't like
court,
what he
girl.
said.
One
That's
thing I'll say
discrimination.
is I just don't think she should have put it on social media. Like the video that
Mm.
she made, it could have been taken in multiple different ways. And as a professional and as a business owner myself, I don't think it was good the way she worded it and put it
She
on
never
social
said she
media.
never said black men. She just said she wasn't going to work with men.
But either
It was
even
the
still,
message,
the way
period.
she worded it, the energy behind it, I think what we're finding is a lot of therapists are very urban, um, if that's the right word, and they're very real. They real people.
Yeah.
Okay,
Hmm.
they're not like what you see on TV, and oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
No, they're home girls. They round the way
Mm-hmm.
girls.
Hmm.
They chilling. They kicking it. They smoke a little weed. You know what I'm saying? Like these therapists, yes, they dealt with their demons and they face their demons, but they know who they are. And so, what people are not used to is authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
And personally, I think in the business world, we could use a little more authenticity. So I'm on the fence with that. I see how it could go left and make your practice look like a joke, but I also can see how we're moving into an age of authenticity and people are just being more of who they really are unapologetically.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Right.
think what she said in that video was warranting her them coming for her license.
No,
Right.
not at all.
No,
Because I've
no.
I've had people do that to me before because they didn't like something I said on my Instagram, so they started like writing letters to like my business and everything, like trying to get me kicked out of places, and like they went on this whole campaign. I've had that happen to me before, and I'm like, are you MFs for real right now? Because it's not that serious. It's like just make a TikTok saying that you don't like it and leave it alone. To try and make her like lose her income, people take
But
stuff too far.
But
yeah,
she also
but
said that she does referrals too. So like she can literally refer you to someone that can help you. She does that. She said that she does that. So to get mad at her because she doesn't want to work with you directly is just a way for you to feel like you need to have power over her. You mad that you don't have
Come on.
access to her specifically.
Hmm.
right.
Inconsiderate. Thank you.
And
Like
she
she not
also
even
said the
like worrying about
clients,
what she went through as a person.
and she said the male clients that she already have, she's not, from my understanding, she's not getting letting go of those. She just
Yeah,
not
she
taking
keep.
no more.
But my issue is, as I said in Cash's live yesterday, I don't understand what you Negroes mad at. You ain't going to therapy, no
You
way.
are going
Yeah, bro,
anyway.
you
That
going
whole
in?
part.
Come
That
on,
whole
man. What
part.
That's like
the
when they
hell?
got
You ain't
mad at
going to
Gucci,
therapy.
but they wasn't bad
I
authentic
mean, this will
Gucci
be the
anyway.
second therapist that they've done this to. So it's like,
But
dude,
then,
what
but you
gives?
ain't going to therapy, no way. So you mad at
Right.
Lamborghini for
Thank
not
you.
selling you a Lamborghini when you can't afford a damn Lamborghini.
You hating
Pretty
from
much.
outside the
That's a
club.
good
You
analogy,
can't
You
even
man.
ain't
get
Can't
right,
even
man.
get
You
in.
in.
can't even get in.
That part.
Like,
These are the same people that were mad at the woman for saying the therapist that they got fired that
Right,
said they needed
right. The
therapy.
one
They
they
were
need,
saying,
she
no, we
said they
don't
needed
need
therapy.
therapy.
That's because she
And
Yeah,
now
called
you
them
and
got
then
one
y'all
desperate.
saying
got
they don't
her
want to work with
fired.
men. Yep,
That's
pretty
because
much.
she
yeah,
called them
They
Yeah,
desperate.
batting 2-0 right now.
She told them she called
so
but
them
then they're
desperate.
you
literally proving her point from the way they react, and they're lying on this woman's
literally.
website,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
making fake reviews on
Mm-hmm.
her. That it literally is why she doesn't want to work with
Dang.
y'all. That's why she
And you
doesn't want to
gotta
work with
you
y'all.
you have
Exactly.
to admit
That's what I was just
that
saying too about what she went through personally. Exactly. That's
you
tough.
can't even we're not even gonna discuss the fact that the Caucasus Mountain inhabitants don't have a problem with it. They
Facts.
don't have a problem with it. Why do we collectively as black men have a problem? First with a
Mm.
therapist, with a black woman therapist telling us we need therapy. We get her canceled. And now this woman has made a business safety decision to say, well, I'm just not gonna, I'm not gonna take any more men on as clients. Now you want to cancel her. When in both instances, you was not going to therapy and clown me for going. And
Hmm.
that's the other part that we're not talking about. When we do tell our buddies, our friends, our homeboys, our ride or dies, my loyalty homeboy, that we're going to therapy, you nigga ain't going to therapy. Like, nigga, we don't do that. Nigga, we don't put all our business out there. That sort of thing. I go to my buddies and they clown me when I'm in a bad spot. And I told this before on another live how I told my boy I was having a bad time. I think I had gone through a breakup, and I actually went to him and I was crying, I was upset. And he was like, man, all that crying and shit, man. Damn, man, he'll have a beer. And I'm like, I don't know, beer, just help your boy out, man. I'm struggling. And he was like, man, come on, man. Fuck all that. Let's go to the club, man. You doing all that crying and shit. And we will go and get that. BS from our buddies, but won't go seek therapy from someone who's actually trained to help us in this. We clown each other. And so for us to be upset collectively because she chose not to help us anymore for whatever reason, and the fact that we're not going and we clown the ones that do, I'm just like,
That
I don't even
projection,
understand.
man.
Storyteller.
That
I want
projection.
to hear from Storyteller. What are your thoughts on that and what Caleb said?
So I'm gonna start with what Caleb said. So I think that's part of the. I think that's a major part of the problem is that men do clown one another when they are
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable, and they think the quickest way is into another woman and some alcohol, some drink, some weed or something. So
Absolutely.
I think men need to make it normal to talk to somebody when you're in that much pain. So that's Caleb part. I just want to know who do they think the license board is going to revoke her license for? Black men?
Right.
Yo, that's
That
crazy.
part. That
And I'm
part.
sorry to say it, but when I really say nobody cares about
Wow.
them outside of our community except the prison
Oof.
system, I really mean that. Y'all read the news just like I do.
Just like you do.
Hmm.
Y'all see how
Wow.
isolated they keep our men, even our good ones. We don't like it either. So I just wonder who do they think is going to revoke their license? And you really think y'all have that much power? Like when I heard that they was making these phone calls and sending emails to the licensing board, I just was like, y'all really delusional. Y'all should have just kept that on TikTok. No, you laughing, Kayla, but you know what I'm saying.
But I hate how their behavior is being displayed on a world
Uh,
stage
Right.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
this
and
is
how
And I
this
that's
is
going
like
to
it.
what to
affect them
me.
later on.
I like it because now they're seeing what we've been saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
That's
true.
That's
They're
true.
being
exactly what I
That's
exposed. You're
said.
true.
absolutely right, Dad. You're
If
Yeah.
absolutely right.
you
But
Because
had
that's not going to
thousands of
work
the
in their
community,
favor, though, which is unfortunate.
It's not.
but that's
That's
the
true.
point. Like they keep talking about we are the reason why they're not being seen in the light they want to be seen in. No, that's you.
no,
That's
no.
all you're doing.
All I just gave you the inch. You stretched it to a mile. I didn't do anything. You did it.
And
But
the
what they
sad
do
part
is they
about
put
it,
the
though,
onus. Go ahead.
but the sad part about it is what they don't realize is once black women give up and stop caring, that that's when it's really gonna be bad. We're the only ones there.
That's
Literally,
that.
we're the only ones there.
That's what Storyteller said in her live earlier today. She said we
They
the
don't
only
Well,
ones
believe
they
that'll
actually
ever
swear these
happen, though.
Asian women gonna be there for them.
she
Right.
said it. We the only
Filipino
ones who
women.
got
Wow.
they
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, they don't believe that'll ever happen, though.
Yeah, they
We
really
torn
Well,
with that. A
even
lot
if
of
they
us
gave up on us, they don't believe that. Like, did y'all see that man who's married to a white woman but said he feels rage when he sees black women with
Yeah, I
non-black
saw
men,
that
yeah,
that
I
he
nonsense.
seen
feels
Yeah.
that.
like that he owns us.
I'm
They
That
so
don't. They don't
glad I
think
didn't
we'll
that
see
ever
that
go
mess.
anywhere. Yeah.
I probably would have wound up in TikTok jail had I seen that mess.
Storyteller, what you about to say?
I said I said a lot of us are going to be torn there. Even I'm torn there. I got a black son. My brothers is black. My father's a black. My uncles are
Mm-hmm.
black. So I wouldn't want it to be open season on black men because I care about the black men in my family.
Right.
Um, so that's where we will always be torn. But somehow we're going to have to strategically come up with a plan that makes it look like we gave up while we still kind of like nudging one another, like, all right, get on the front line, you know what I mean? Send an email to CNN. That's not appropriate. But we can't do it in such a blatant way where they continue to walk over us. Because, like I said, me,
yeah.
you, Dad, we got sons. You're not just opening up on mine.
No.
You
Hell
just
no.
not opening up on mine.
facts.
Hmm.
So that
You're
that's I
absolutely
I
think
agree.
right.
that's where we're going to be torn at.
That's a tough one.
Mhm.
It is.
I think what part of what they deem as black women either surpassing them or bypassing them or leaving them behind. Part of that
Mm-hmm.
is the education, number one, but also it's not just the finances, it's the fact that during the pandemic, a lot of our women started small businesses, whether it was selling wigs or or makeup, where they started Amazon shops or Etsy shops, thrifting, whatever it was, black women made the adjustment and
And did
flourished
it fast too.
and quickly. But a lot of brothers didn't. And so now that they're behind as far as education wise, they can't hold a conversation because they don't have the vocabulary. They don't have the finances. How many times you hear
Oh, I
guys say,
know about
okay,
the
for in,
vocabulary in them
for
comments, baby. Woo!
Right?
for
Ooh.
instance, if you made $100,000, right? Would you date a guy that made 20? No, nigga, I wouldn't. No, no, I wouldn't. And I have two daughters in their 20s, and I wouldn't tell them to date a man in their 20s. Why would I want them to date someone who's doing the bare minimum when I know the reason you asking that is because you want to know how quick can you get access to that 100,000? That's the only reason you
But
asking that
that's why
question.
they keep pushing for this whole traditional relationship, traditional women trope, because
Man,
black women always
God,
find a
please.
way to reinvent themselves. So if we stay in a traditional place, they'll always have access to us. By
That's
being
it.
traditional, we won't advance, we won't reinvent ourselves. We'll always be
Mm-hmm.
in a place where they can keep access to us. That's why there's such this hard push for tradition.
But
We,
PT,
we,
they
That
more,
And
part.
you hit the nail on the
but
listen,
head with
brother.
that.
but
Cause
they
they
more
You
swear
modern
can't.
they
than we
leaving
are.
us, but they
Right.
can't
But
keep
see, they
our
want us
names
to be
out their mouth.
tradition, but they're going to come with a modern mindset. That's the
They're
trick.
modern.
They more, and I say that because if you ask most men, like if you do a survey, I want to do this one day, but if you do a survey of how many men actually know how to change a tire, or even if they do, still actually change the tire, change oil, build anything, I
Hmm.
bet you
Mm-hmm.
they'll say I pay somebody to do it before I do it myself.
Facts.
And that's another thing is when they
Indeed.
talk about tradition and what men do, they always go to these extremes like building a house
Exactly.
and stopping an intruder. Like how that
Yeah, at
doesn't
3
Like,
happen
o'clock in the
every
sir,
morning,
day.
I'm going to stop
you
someone
built the
from me.
house.
I'm like, dude,
Yeah,
please.
you don't have to build a house every day. You don't have to worry about an
And how
intruder
often
breaking
does
in
somebody
every
kick your
day.
door in?
They have
Exactly.
Right.
they have
So,
private
so
Or
hold on,
conversations
hold
shoveling
on.
already.
snow.
Hold on real quick. That's called an ad hominem
Ad
argument.
hominem.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Right.
That's when they
That's
start
exactly what
going
that is.
to all these different damn extremes to
Mm-hmm.
prove their point. That's when
Hmm.
they
That
start
part.
doing it. And I'm sorry, Dad, was you talking?
That
No,
part.
I was just agreeing with y'all because that's exactly what they do. They do that every day. They be talking about if you walk down the street, and first of all, if I'm walking down the street with my man, ain't no random dude about to approach me.
No,
Let's just be
no,
real.
they not.
And I
So of
They're
also
course,
not.
if we
hate the
walk down the
intruder
street,
thing because if I'm single and an intruder comes in, I'm gonna have to take care of myself, right? So you being there don't matter. I'm gonna have to do something regardless.
I mean, but by their logic, they not protecting us no more anyway. So if we single and walking down the street, why are we worried about what they say they not
That
protecting us?
that part. That
Right.
part.
Exactly.
Wait, when they
They never
protected
want
us?
to. But
When
they
did
not.
they protect us?
They
Remind me
don't
on
they
that
were
Never,
never
Are
time.
they
wearing them.
talking about
never.
if they talk about in biblical days maybe or like
Okay. Okay, yeah. Okay.
If anything, we've been
Whatever.
protecting them. If anything,
Yeah.
And,
historically.
and you know what's the killer part about it? The men who actually are the good men, it's I hate it that they be really over here trying to sometimes justify the shit that these dudes be on.
Well, then that means they're not really good if they try to justify this
No, they but
nonsense.
Right.
they justify how they justifying it. Like I know y'all, a lot of us know who Brooklyn is, right?
No.
what we was
Mm-mm.
just in his live today, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we see
Yeah,
this live
Brooklyn.
earlier.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
earlier. Yeah, right.
he said women. He tried to equate women objectify men just as well as men objectify women, and
Oh,
he
I
couldn't
heard
wrap
that
his mind
nonsense.
around the
Oh
fact
God.
what the lady was saying about when men objectify women. A lot of times it ends up in a detrimental or violent way. When women objectify men, we just say, "Girl, look at that boy in those sweatshorts. Oh, I want you to put." You know what I'm saying? We do shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
We
Hmm.
might. This is real. We do that type of shit.
Now hold
But
on,
when a
Dad.
man
Hold on.
objectifies a woman, it can definitely go violent real quick. But women are not out here unaliving or raping men, so you can't
Not at
even
all.
equate the two.
Hold on one second,
Not
Dad.
at a
Hold
high
on one
You're
rate.
second.
right.
Not at a
That's
high rate. Yeah.
crazy.
Men do get essayed, but it's usually young men who are like
They do.
17,
Yep.
who
Yeah.
get
Yes, I
essayed by
agree.
a mama's friend who's
Right.
35 and ain't got no business. Yeah, that they don't consider it essay and they don't admit to it, and they really pump their own head up and say, yeah, I hit an older woman, I hit this cougar. But no, that is a form of essay, and
It
that's why
is.
they have a perverse way of approaching physical intimacy.
But have you
Hmm.
noticed how they are making so what you saying that it just made me think about something. How often before TikTok did we hear men talking about that?
Never.
So now the men who did talk about it, they didn't get the platform they needed, right?
Right, right.
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 Now
Right.
now these men who are trying to again battle with women, they're using that when they've never did it before. So you're really dimming the light of people who it actually affected and who are actually dealing with it in the proper way.
You guys, you know what? You know what storyteller said. She's absolutely right, and it made me think about. I was on another live and I thought about this because years ago, I'm probably dating myself here. I was born in the '80s, but I remember a long time ago there was this movie that was made, I believe, in the '70s. It was Melvin Van Peebles wrote and directed the movie, and it was
Mm,
Sweetback's Badass Song, I believe is what it was called. And
Right.
his own son, Mario Van Peebles,
mm.
he lost he was a child and lost his virginity to a grown woman, and it was in the movie.
I can believe that.
I remember that movie.
I
His
mean, that's
father,
like Lil
like,
Boosie get
yeah,
on that. He got on TikTok. I mean,
just
face
yes,
whatever,
like
and
little
told
Boosie
Hmm.
everybody.
hired a S worker for his underage son.
Yep.
These A lot of these men are encouraging these boys to basically be essayed.
No, but you should have seen the comments when
That's
he did
true.
it. It was so many men in that comments like, "Oh boy, that's normal. That happened to me when I was what's name shit. I wanted to hear my tick. It was normal."
Yep.
Okay, so it's a difference between having an urge and then learning the proper way to cope with that urge. And that's the problem. So this is why these men are so hypersexual and predatory. Because if you're 13 and then you have a specific thought about your 35-year-old teacher, and then you're able to act out that thought, that's not really teaching you how to rein it in. That's not really teaching you how to have sexual discipline. You know what I'm saying? It's not really teaching you that everything you want access to, you don't necessarily need to get it. Like, I think that it's
Hmm.
Absolutely.
confusing them.
They
Absolutely.
feel
It's not teaching
entitled.
any self
It's the
control
entitlement.
and no self control. That's a
And
I just had this
major
conversation
issue
at work
among
earlier.
us.
And back to the point, I think it was Nisi who made it when they used that extreme example. Like if we were walking down the street and something happened, or if somebody broke into my house. I remember I was in a live with Basic one day, and he used that, and I said, you know, the chances of that happening is like 0 to none. Let's be honest. I said, in a
Hmm.
relationship, your wife is more likely to ask you for help around the house, something that you have to do more often than that. And I don't know about y'all, but I feel so uncomfortable with them being so prepared to DIE, but not to live.
Yes,
That makes
I
me
totally agree.
uncomfortable. Why are you
That
so
goes
prepared to take a pew pew, but you're not prepared to help a son with homework if your wife is working overtime, or cook a meal if your wife is getting home late? That does not
Girl,
sit right with me.
Right. I ain't never
patriarchy
thought
got them in
about
a
that.
chokehold. Got them in a choke. Rise Black
crazy.
King, it sound like you were trying to say something. What were you trying to say, brother?
Oh, you good? Hey, you know, you good. You good. I was just saying that I'm in tune right now because I was having the same conversation at work earlier. Yeah, it's just weird how in tune everything is right now.
Okay, okay. The vibes is here. You already know.
It's a sad right now to me. I watch it, and I know I'm a little older. I'm not going to date myself, but I watch it, and it's sad because I was having a conversation with my brother for the last 2 or 3 days, and we were just talking about how we just used to go on a date. Like it didn't mean nothing. Like you. Like we would go out and you see a nice young lady, you go, "Oh man, what's up?" And then you ask her to dance, and then he's like, "You want something to drink?" You go to the bar, you buy an $8 drink. It's a conversation starter, gentlemen. You're
Hmm.
not supposed to. You're not supposed to fall in love and see. It's just a conversation starter.
Mm-mm. They
That's
what
all
they
a
say in
date
your
is.
live storytelling.
Right. It's
Yep.
a
I mean,
straw man fallacy. My bad. You're right. A piece of my mind. It is a straw man fallacy. I couldn't remember which one it was.
Yeah, when
Yep.
they those extreme hypotheticals to try and prove
Hmm.
what you're saying and
yeah.
then attack that.
Yep. We just
They
was
had
talking
this
about
talk.
that on my live. Go ahead.
Yeah, they just had this talking storytellers live. What they say, story. What they say?
Hold on.
About
Which part
buying
we
a
talking
drink.
about? Oh
About
Yeah,
buying
God.
a drink.
the drink. What they think a drink is. Uh,
Oh,
What
so
is it?
it's transactional. Basically, they buy a drink with the intent to get punani that night. And somebody was like, "Well, I think it was
Yeah.
PG." She was like, "How much you drinks nowadays?"
Right. That part.
yeah, yeah. I was like, how
Right.
much are
Yeah. That
drinks?
part.
Oh,
And
it was
then
it was it was cash.
so some people was like $8, $12, 16 maybe. And I was like, so we supposed to give you some precious between our legs for $8?
Mm-hmm.
You sound
Man, what
crazy.
in the
And it's
And
the
some
world?
of them was like,
entitlement.
yeah. They said yeah.
Say
You know
that's
what
how men
though?
go out.
Oh
Men
Mm.
go out
boy,
with the intent. If
y'all
I'm gonna
gone
buy her
somewhere.
something, something has to happen. That's in men head. They was
It's
like
even
women.
it's
Women are
even more
delusional.
sinister, I think, storyteller than that. Just to
Man,
add to what you're saying, I think it's a matter of, do they see you as valuable or non-valuable? And when they have put you in the category of non-valuable, something as small as a drink means that you have made a contract or an exchange with them to give them your precious goods for which they don't value. Okay, it might have well, it could have been a stock on the floor that they got off with, and they just chose you for that night. So $16, $32 here and there. Hey, to them, that was a even exchange for how they feel about you, and that's what makes this scary, because they're constantly telling us they don't value us, but then they also, in the same breath, say submit to us.
That part.
Right. It don't make no sense. And you know what
That's
really what it is the reason why it's so transactional. They feel that women are objects. They don't view us as fellow human beings. They view us as something. That's why they always comparing us to inanimate objects. They're always comparing us to inanimate objects. That's why they think that the price of a $20 20 for 2 mil for 20 at Applebee's is worth a woman's body. They believe that because they look at us as objects. And I hate to say it, but like this is why a lot of women are just kind of like, you know what, I'm fed up with it, and I can buy my own drinks or whatever Miley Cyrus said.
Yeah, I stopped dating in 2014. I decided I was done with it because I'm like, the doggone I can't get a STD from a Applebee's meal. I can't get a baby from a meal. So I'm like, the
That
exchange is
part.
just not there. In addition to that, it's not even so much as me having sex, it's the safety issue. I feel like it is a
That
Right.
safety breach for me to take a man to my house, get undressed in front of him, thinking I'm finna get some, and then he wind up choking me out or something. It's
Girl,
just a complete
girl,
safety breach for me.
That's
girl. I
crazy.
had that happen to me before, and it baffled me. If my aunt didn't call and he didn't get scared, and
Oh
I
no.
was already blacked out, but she
Oh my
called,
god.
and I said,
damn.
this crazy fool trying to choke me out. I blacked out,
No.
and she stayed on the phone. I got up, and he tried to fight me. And I remember my mom said that my our lower body strength is just as strong as their upper body strength. So I used my lower body strength to get him out of my house. So, and
Mm.
these men are crazy, mind you. I was talking to him for 3 months and everything was cool. He talking about something. He just snapped. Like what? What do you
Wow.
snap for? I didn't say nothing to you. Do nothing to you.
Right.
I took down his license plate and called them cops. Child, bye.
Well,
Uh.
I'm so
Oh,
glad
I'm
you got out
so
of that. I'm
sorry
so
that
sorry,
happened to
sis.
you.
Me too.
They
That's
crazy.
insane.
They don't realize
Yeah,
when they
I'm
be talking about
terrified of that.
when
That's true.
when they talking
That's
about
crazy.
protect they shit. Y'all protecting us from y'all.
Well, okay, yeah,
That
there
part.
Right.
was a woman who made that because when you ask men why do you want to be needed, and they say you need us to protect you from men, and there was a woman who made a video. She was like, "Why do you need men to protect you from the men? It's like a circle. It keeps going in a circle. It's like so we need men to protect us from men. So you're the problem."
The
Yeah, K
problem
Steph
is,
calls it an emotional circle jerk.
mm,
That's what she calls it.
And just for
And
That
just so y'all know, he was driving a Jaguar. He had a Benz, and he grew up in a suburban lifestyle. So he definitely wasn't
oh
what they would
oh,
call a Pookie or a Ray Ray. It doesn't matter where they are in their status in life. Some of these guys just don't have respect. Period.
that's true.
okay. So, Cachet, let me ask you this, sis. Was it a situation where he thought he was gonna get some?
No, we were already after like the third week we started messing around after and within those 3 months. So it was confusing to me why he would do that. Then he tried to apologize, talking about something he just snapped. You was cool this whole
No,
time.
No, he
no,
Sometimes
ain't
these
just
men just
now.
crazy, and that's why I
nah,
tell
no.
my
bro.
He
daughters.
He
lying.
triggers.
That's
Nah,
why
bro.
I tell my daughters like, don't ever um get to know a guy first because you don't know how crazy he is. Get to know him more than 3 months even because that was scary for me.
Oh,
That
yeah,
was
and you never
scary.
blame
Absolutely,
yourself for his
that is
actions
very
either, because he need to
scary.
have accountability for that, and don't blame no
Right,
woman for that. Oh, she made me do it. A lot of dudes are cowards to keep
right,
saying she made me do it.
Or
I
she
can't believe you
shouldn't
would
have
say that.
invited him over.
Oh
I
yeah,
hate
she
that.
Yep.
shouldn't
right.
have let
That
him
part.
over.
Yep.
Yeah, that.
Yep.
See, this is
You
why we
chose
always think
her.
of the snake analogy that Muhammad Ali made when it came to YT
Hmm.
racism. It's like if there's only 100 snakes that are poisonous and there's 1,000 at my door, would you let any of them in? No.
No,
And my thing is, if you
absolutely not.
ask these men,
I want
would
to
you
address
trust a
this
man
comment I
around
see.
other men?
Yeah,
Would you
I
trust your
do
daughter?
too.
You always notice they say no. They be like, because I'll trust my daughter, but I don't trust these men.
Right. Cause
Imagine if we were all your daughter. They
Right.
can't do that.
Well, that means
Mm-hmm.
humanizing us, storyteller, and we understand that we ain't being humanized in most cases. Now,
I want to
That's
the
address
exactly
this
it.
sister
comment I
said,
see. I'm itching to do it.
"Okay, okay, go ahead and read it, sis."
So this guy is I am Malik, I guess. He says, "Are y'all
Nah,
really comparing all
male KD
females
one.
with some
Yeah, male KD.
psychos?" And here's my
Yeah,
thing. They get mad
What?
when we do it, but if
Mm,
you have a daughter, you're gonna assume that all of the dudes she brings home has the potential to harm her as her father. So as
I
women,
do.
we have to take on that. I'm constantly on edge of, can this dude harm me? So you see all these pictures, or you see dads telling their daughters and brothers telling their sisters and uncles telling their nieces, "Oh, stay away from boys. They do this, or they only want one thing." So they'll drill that in their daughter's head. But then when a woman on the internet says the same thing, y'all get mad. So I'm
Like
like,
you
which
doing
one
right
is
now.
it?
Like you
Yeah, so
doing
I'm
right
right.
like,
now.
why
Mm-hmm.
you getting mad
Exactly.
over it if you telling your daughter the same thing? But
Facts.
me as a grown ass woman, I'm supposed to just trust y'all? No.
Right.
As far as I'm
Exactly.
concerned, all y'all are psychos until you prove me wrong.
Just like he would want
Basically,
his daughter to think about men. Just like
And
he
you
would
know
want
what?
his daughter to think about men.
Just like storyteller, what you were saying earlier about like us having sons, like because I have a son too, and how what we do is when we see any black man that's in trouble, we always think of our family members. We think of our fathers. We think of our sons. We think of our cousins and uncles and things like that. That's how we react to when we see something happening to a black man. But in vice versa, they only see their family members. When they see somebody that's not related to them, they don't do that. They
You
don't
don't have the
associate them. Yeah, they don't associate us with their moms, sisters, and aunts and all of that. They don't do that. We're the only ones that do that. And unfortunately, like you were saying, how we kind of have to, act like we're not going to support in a low. We kind of have to just behave like them. We have to match energies.
Well, that's only because we don't. we don't specialize collectively as men in empathy. So we can't empathize
Period. Caleb,
with
can you
the
say that one more time? Because I want to make sure the whole panel and anybody watching heard. What was that you said?
we collectively as men, specifically black men, we don't we don't have empathy. We don't have that so that we can empathize with any woman that is not our mother, sister, aunt, or daughter. You are just another person. We don't have that empathy. We can sympathize if something happens and we see a woman crying. We can sympathize and
Hmm.
show a bit of anger because that guy did something, and we upset because not that he did something to you. We're upset because he did something to you, and it's going to reflect on us.
Hmm.
We're not mad that that guy tried that with Cachet. We're mad because he tried that with Cachet, failed, and it's going to make us look bad and take away our chance with Cachet. So we don't have.
Damn.
Oh, did I
That's
just
selfish.
That
did I
is so. Oh my
did
god.
I give did I just? I'm sorry if I'm telling our inner male secret, but I was
Oh.
re-
Oh, do tell.
I was recruited by the
I
NBSS, the
knew that.
National. I was recruited by
The
the
National
National
Ball
Ball Sack
Sack.
Society, and that
That
is
is that's so sad.
and but that is part
Oh,
of the standing
oh
mantra of the NBSS, the National Ball Sack Society, where they feel like if one man does something, it reflects bad on all of us. That's why this I am male KD1 guy, that's why he came in and said what he said, because he feels he
Mm.
has to defend the Ball Sack Society.
Get
That's
him,
why he's
man.
Not the
saying what he's
ball
saying.
sack
Every hair, every
Yes.
stinking hair.
No.
It
Yeah.
it's
So
because it's so fragile. It's so fragile.
because it's so fresh. So he feels like he has to come in and say something and protect the ball sack. So the National Ball Sack Society, regardless of what happens around the sack, is there to protect the sack. That's what it's there
Hmm.
for. Now they recruited me, but I politely declined and I sent the recruitment papers back. I
So it
actually
basically it
joined
works like a cup, right? It works like a cup.
pretty much so.
I think the
So this is
manosphere is a cult.
It
I
it,
think
is.
it
it, it,
is
it, it
It's a cult.
with
And so are the
total mind
Rutherford brothers.
control.
They are a cult.
yeah, yeah,
They
Cash.
they
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 get
remind me
upset
of the
because
MAGA Republicans. They're a lot like the MAGA
They're a
Republicans.
lot like, oh, that was an excellent compare. Girl, you done made my next video. Thank you.
and
And I'm
this
gonna be right
any
there. I
one of
love your
you
videos.
any one of you ladies, yes, I'm also into you. Any one of you ladies can take that what Cassie just said. Yeah, they get upset because that man messed up their chances. They're mad because he made the collective look bad. So when they go back, they climb up the tree into the treehouse of men and they have their National Ball Sack Society meeting. They don't talk about what he did to Cache. They talk about what he did to Cache because it messed up their opportunity to get her. So when it's the same instance when they ask you your body count or
Mhm.
how many children you have. They equate your body count and the four, three, four, five children with ease of access. That's why they ask you that. They don't give a damn how many you actually have. They only care how many bodies you have because to them it shows them how easy you are. So think back,
Can we
all the
block this
guys.
guy? Because I'm trying not to get this live
Where
unrecorded.
he at?
Uh,
He's starting to
What he gonna
make
call you
my
a simp
left
next?
nipple.
What's
He
his
Huh?
probably gonna
name?
call
Dude,
me a simp.
moderator.
wow, bro.
I am Malik.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
I
say you
am
sound like a
male KD.
woman.
He
Yeah,
gotta
whatever
go.
Malik or whatever.
He gotta
Uh,
go. Your ass is out of here, bro.
yeah, he gotta go. I sound like a
He
woman.
sound like a woman, but he got women
Thanks.
listening to him, bro.
I
Shut up,
appreciate that.
man.
I
That's
appreciate that.
another. Why is that
Thank
always the
you.
case? Why is that always the case? If you notice, anytime a man defends black women, they're called simps, panderers, all these horrible
Mhm.
names.
Why is
So
that?
Why is it only when it's something positive, but when it's something negative, all of a sudden it's facts? So they speaking the truth.
That's the thing. I'm like,
Right?
they always
You going in and
accuse
Exactly.
out.
us.
Speaking of truth, you sound just like this girl.
They always accuse us of wanting Pookie and Ray Ray, but they stay defending Pookie and Ray Ray. Like they cannot
Right.
stand to
Mm,
see a heterosexual male with that have empathy for women. And I'm like, how are you a heterosexual male, but you enjoy seeing women being hurt and
mm,
suffering? But you
mm,
accuse us of not liking good men. You don't like good men.
Mm-hmm.
mm.
Thank you.
That
They
People,
really
irritates
don't.
me
temperaments.
so much.
And you know what?
They
A
That's a
piece
still
of
fact
my
too.
mind. You know what I love? The fact that you made that video about the slave auction flyer.
Yes.
That's literally what they're asking for when they're talking about traditional women.
Exactly. And I'm
I
I'm
gotta go
so
see
sick
that
of it.
video.
I'm like,
You have
stop
it's
attacking men that are
word
defending
dang
us.
near
That's what
one word
men
for
do.
word.
I'm like, that is
Dang
how
near word for
men get
word.
our submission, is by proving that they have our best interests at heart. So they want to treat us like
Right.
crap or like property, and then they get mad when we won't submit. Why would I submit to somebody who does not have my best interests at heart?
Man,
Exactly.
Hold
They
on one
want us to
second.
be
it's
And I
How
just
you
comfortable
didn't
with
doing, baby
submission
subjugation.
C?
stuff.
Hang on
Hey,
one
baby
second.
C.
So, Mr.
Baby
Mello,
C.
I'm going to try to answer your question, and please try to listen with your ears. So, you said American black women have a self love image that keeps them from loving a black man. Capitalized, so emphasis on a black
Oh,
man. They desire the same type of dude. So, let me just break this down in parts. Okay, so we have a self love image that keeps us from
Wow.
loving a black man. Question: does that make us look bad, or does that make y'all look bad? I need
It
you to
ain't the
think
flesh
about
you
that
think
for a
it is,
second.
bro.
Does that make us look bad, or does that make y'all look bad? When you say self love, and you meant exactly what you said, so don't try to change it up. You mean that we have done the internal work. You mean that we have went and found our integrity. We found
mm,
our guiding light. So that means that we are on pace for being a substance human being. We can It is more difficult to pull men that are under you than to go to men that are above you. They tend to say that women are naturally hypergamous, and it's mainly because, under the construct of patriarchy, we're going to look for someone who can lead, because that is when you all are the happiest. Like, I don't give a damn, but that's when you all are the happiest, right? So, if I'm a smart woman, a knowledgeable woman, I'm going to need a man that's more knowledgeable than me, so that he's secure, so that he feels good. Therefore, if black women love themselves and they've done the internal work, that would then preclude that you need to do more internal work so that we
mm.
can love you. Does that make
Yeah,
sense to you?
yeah,
That's what
yes.
leadership is about, sir. Okay? And then the second part of your statement was they desire the same type of dude. No, the hell we do not. Okay? Please turn off the rap videos. Okay? Please stop watching World Star. Okay? Nobody is checking for these dusties. Okay? Us women who had played with that fire, we learned, got burned, and now we're gone. Okay? But for the most part, what we want to do is we want healthy relationships. We do not want to know egomaniacal of gas bag, like basically Black Jesus, who is one of those who got a decent amount of money and notoriety, but he's a fucking gas bag. Nobody wants that. We
Yeah,
want
like Black Guru,
healthy,
Absolutely.
like Black Guru.
Black
I
Guru.
like
That's
to
right.
call him fedora hat too tight. So basically, we want men who have a higher integrity than we do. Okay? And wear the right size hats. We want men that wear the right size hats too. Beards gotta connect too, goddammit. While we at it.
Right.
Your beard got to connect. Oh my God.
This one
Oh,
guy,
I
so
love you,
then he
Twilight.
says, yeah, he says you only submit to a certain type of dude. And to me, that just sounds like a hissy fit. because
But isn't
most dudes
It
that
don't
are
even make sense.
capable of leading, they don't talk about submission. I'll give you a story, a quick story of when I joined my business, or when I got into the business world. The guy who is now my mentor, I could not stand him when I first came into the business, because I don't like being told what to do, and I have a problem with authority, and I can admit that. However, so I instantly did not follow him when I first got into business with him. But after working with him, and this is what makes a woman follow you: empathy and consistency. That is those are two traits that women are looking for that men cannot fake. A man cannot fake consistency, because then he's inconsistent.
hmm
So an
Yep.
inconsistent man cannot fake consistency. And so once I seen that this man was being consistent, I seen that he was not expecting sex from me, and I seen that he was accountable for his own actions. He was able to apologize even when something wasn't his fault completely. He would take part of the blame for it, just to move the situation on and say, well, you know what, how could I have handled that situation differently, or how could I have what could I have done differently or said differently, or even though I didn't mean to offend you, I can work on my delivery when I'm speaking to you, now that we're getting to know each other better. So his willingness to get to know me as a person without expecting sex, as well as being consistent, never mentioning the word submit or leadership or none of that. He literally just shut the hell up and led by example and gave me
Mm,
something to follow. And that's what a lot of
mm.
these dudes are
hmm
incapable of doing. Any dude
Right.
that have to sit there and talk about he a leader and he the man and he all this, don't nobody give a shit. It's like, just shut up and lead, and whoever follows follows, and whoever don't, leave them the hell alone, and make sure you're giving them something to follow, and that you're actually competent enough to where you have more going on than the people that you are expecting to follow you, because I'm not following you backwards. I'm only going to
Basically.
follow a man who can take me further than what I already am. If my
I mean, I'm
credit
trying
is
to.
better than yours, if I'm more well
hmm
traveled than yours, if I've had more life experience than yours, if I've seen a two-parent household and you didn't, then why the hell would I follow you? Where can you possibly take me?
Narnia.
Right.
That's
Drives
where.
me nuts.
Narnia.
Narnia. I would love to
We're
go
Chocolate
to
City.
Narnia.
Nuts.
Girl, you get right
we're
on that
going to
pole
Narnia.
in Chocolate
But
City.
don't play with a
Look
piece
where
of
we're
my
going.
mind. Don't
We're
play
going
with
to
her.
Narnia.
I'm like, it drives
The
me
idea
nuts.
is you are being
She explained
led
that
to the
good.
land of Narnia.
She explained that really good.
That's where they want to lead you to. We are going to Aslan. He's going to blow his lion breath on me, and I'm going to be this Superman with my orange cape, and I'm going to
Well,
lead you out of Narnia. This is what
a piece
you.
of my mind will get us there before any man that I've ever met.
My this is why dudes like this Mr. Mellow character and the rest of them, they they bunch my short and curlies up. You know why they're so
Oh
Not the
why
yes. Oh my
national
god.
Uh
feed.
oh.
Ball
why there's so many
sack.
Twilight,
why
can I
there's so
please
many
address
single
him? Can
mothers.
I address him? I know,
If,
Okay, hold on. I
Twilight. I
think
know you.
Caleb, you hit him, and then Anissa, you go.
Okay, okay.
this is what kills me. You niggas ain't there for your children, and then you mad at how your children being raised. They're being raised. Why there's so many single mothers? Because you niggas won't stay with them and raise them. You got a woman doing a two-person job by herself, and you sitting outside the club looking in at what type of dances we doing, and your ass ain't dancing. The issue is you want them to not only be responsible for you, your sack, your seed, and your inability to control yourself, but then be responsible for the result of said irresponsibility on your part. See, men, this is our problem. We want all the responsibility. We want all the benefits of sex without any other responsibility. The children. When these children happen, then you say, why we got all these single mothers? Because you niggas won't stay home and take care of them. But that's a whole nother issue because in your $40,000 ness, You think you're supposed to grab the community, put them and hitch them to your $40,000 wagon, and you're gonna drag us kicking and screaming to the information age
I'm about to slow slide
into the
down the wall.
Jetsons. You think, and you're stuck in your traditional Flintstone Stone Age. This is the equivalent of when the Flintstones went to the Jeffersons when they got transferred. And Fred Flintstone had borrowed 25 cents from his boss to buy some tickets. And by the time they got from the Stone Age to the Jetsons age, he owed $4 million. This is where you Negroes are stuck at. You trying to be something that you cannot be any longer. The industrial age is over. Carnegie has made his money. We are in the information age. You're typing shit on a phone that could literally change your life. It's a handheld computer. Yet you want to argue with the women about why they're single mothers instead of asking the men why are their fatherless homes. This is our problem. And as long as we have dudes like this mellow clown who do this, you're gonna stay stuck and stagnant. Now I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna let Nishi say something. When the women decide to leave you alone and go to Themyscira, I'm going with them. When they leave, when they leave, when they leave, you want to catch another flight? Have about to make it with them bite, and they get on that boat. I will have my monkey ass on that boat with them, singing right with them. Apple butter make it want to bite. Apple butter make it want to bite.
He gonna be like, hold
You
up.
one of those. I'm gonna be singing right with them, sailing my ass on the Themyscira because I'm not staying here with you dudes. I'm not. I'm packing up the children. Me and Rise and a couple of others will be living out in the woods while they do their woman thing. When they want babies, they'll come. We'll give them a baby. We'll go back to the woods and do whatever the hell we were doing until they need us again. Okay, when Peace of My Mind or Dab or Cachet or Twilight, when y'all need us, y'all come tell it. Me and Rise will come chop down something, build something, then we'll take our ass on back out the way over there somewhere.
That's
Cause I
beautiful.
ain't
That
staying here
really
with y'all.
is.
I love
Nisi,
you,
Appreciate
I'm
you.
Caleb.
going to
Nisi,
Themyscira.
Appreciate you.
what you got to say, sis?
Okay, like Caleb basically, he said everything I wanted to interpret, but at the same time, I'm
Mhm.
like, when men say this stuff like as if they want us to be clairvoyant, how the heck am I supposed to force somebody to do something? If somebody doesn't want to be there, I can't force them to be there. And if I have a kid, I have to do what I have to do. How? Why am I wrong for do? What am I supposed to do? Abandon the child as well? Am I
Right.
supposed to leave the child as well?
That part.
I say give them
Like,
up for adoption is what I said. Since they keep complaining we can't raise kids, get the boys
and
away.
then, and what's crazy is it doesn't
Give
matter
them
what
their
we do. And
kids.
this, they say give them their kids, but then they don't want to have them. They bring them back after a few hours or a day or two because they can't handle it. They realize, and you know what's so crazy is
They got
that it's funny that men are the ones that complain about child support when 40% of child support cases are women paying men, and women don't complain about paying child support.
They really don't.
So we don't complain about it because we understand we have to be responsible for our children. This whole ideology of pushing accountability on other people instead of holding yourselves accountable. I really hate that they learned the word accountability because they're using it incorrectly every single time. Always, oh, well, then you should have chose better, which is impossible. We're not clairvoyant. How am I supposed to know if somebody's going to change in the future? Because we're supposed to evolve. We're supposed to change. We're supposed to learn. We're supposed to grow. Y'all the ones that want to be stuck in a time that you weren't even technically around for. I don't know why we want this YT patriarchy and blackface and why you think it's a good idea when it wasn't good for you in the beginning.
So
I
I'm
just
gonna
want to say something to Wick. He said, "Why do women raise their sons to be the
well,
men
let
they
me. I'm
hate?"
gonna be. I'm. You as a mom, you're gonna be able to elaborate on this, but I do want to make a quick point in terms of what Wick is saying. First of all, these black women aren't raising these boys to be men that they hate. The streets are raising these
Raising
boys
them
to
boys
be
to be
men
the
that
men
they hate.
they hate.
So let me
Fact.
just paint the picture for you. The son is
Leadership.
in the home. there is a lack of masculine energy. There's a lack of masculine identity. He is not going
Uh,
to be able to get his masculine identity from his mother. So, despite all her efforts, if she's working, if she's unable to watch him every minute, he will gravitate towards the masculine energy around that is available, accessible, and convenient. And a lot of times, these young men are groomed by gang and street members, and that is who they are looking to for their idea of masculinity. So stop saying that, because that is a fallacy. Okay, these women are not raising them. And furthermore, don't y'all say that women can't raise men? You consistently contradict yourselves, and you just need to stop. All right, you can go ahead, Storyteller.
Oh, you said it nicely, but I'm gonna let that go because I wasn't even gonna say that. But I love the way you came through.
Appreciate you. Hey, baby.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? What's
what's up,
going on,
baby?
Taylor Cashy?
Hey.
Who is
Hey,
that?
baby C.
What's going on, y'all? Um, I had saw a video that really sparked my attention. I was trying to look for it. It was a gentleman, black man on there. He said the black man that we see that's pushing this narrative, right, about submissive black women, right, said that they want to be the new patriotic of the black women now. They want the
Mm-hmm.
same patriotic system that the white
You
man
probably
got
saw it on my
with his
page.
women. And was that your page?
Mm-hmm. It
That
was.
was a good one. It was. And you know what? At first I didn't I was like, nah, that ain't right. But then I was in a live today where a man said, we got his name. He said, you better go sit your you know what down. He said, I told you to sit down. I said, who is you talking to, fool?
Oh, they be doing that. They be doing
You
that. They
don't
are
talk
wild.
right. And there was another woman on there and she was going all the way off. And she said, you need to educate. So I found another gentleman that was speaking about what she said. And you know what I think the problem is with most? Most don't want to pick up a book and read. Most of them around here writing 304 as whore, which is a garden too. I wish somebody would tell people that. Please inform our people that HOE is a garden tool.
Izzo.
And he we was talking about the difference between African Americans and African. This is what the subject was about. She was talking about that. He got on there and started saying, oh, black men in our country has the highest dropout rate and illiteracy rate, and we have the poorest this and the poor. He's talking about folks over here in America that is melanin. Like we was just some dogs. Like we just equate to the most lowest form he ever heard or ever saw. And everybody looked at him, they was like, what's wrong with this fool? And he just talking and talking and going on, and the young
Mm.
lady tried to tell him something different. He told her, shut up. Oh, you don't know what the hell y'all. I said, whoa, look at him. And then
Oh,
the
they be
other
doing
woman,
that.
I'm gonna mention her name, Miss Me T One, disrespectful, utterly disrespectful.
What,
And the
what's her
young
name?
lady, she got mad, Miss Me T1,
Miss
and the
Mac.
other guy was
That must be
Laser
K-Town.
something. And I'm sitting up here and I'm thinking looking at these two fools, sitting up here rattling on, making a fool and a spectacle out of us, talking about the black man and the black woman over here in America and the black child. Like we just the lowest form look, the lowest form in the world is the way he talked about us. We just the lowest form.
Wow.
So you're not gonna be out there. You're not gonna be the black man. See, that's my problem with people. They want to go and they want to go to the people, but you scared to go up against the NFL on what they doing. You know, you're scared to go at
That
the
part.
NBA at what they doing. You scared to go
That
to the
part.
TV and say what they're doing. You
Baby
scared to go to the
oppressors.
music industry of what they doing. And the thing about it is that people point the finger at these kids, right? And even their parents. Cause like I said, I grew up where I know some awesome kids came from a single mom. They doing damn good. A lot of single moms. You know what I'm saying? And I had four awesome kids. My kids ain't out there, and people used to say that. I hold women
You
accountable.
know one thing though, baby, see, I want to bring up the single mothers. If we look at the context of the single mothers in the 80s and the 90s, the reality is that many of them had to go to government housing. That was their only way. We were not educated by and large as black people about purchasing real estate and homes and credit scores and things like that. That was like not a part of our dialogue yet. So it would make sense that we grew up, many of the kids that grew up single parent, raised, would actually have dealt with some level of poverty. Like it only makes sense.
But you know what? Here's the thing about it. What people don't realize is the first run out of the gates of freedom was inequality. We was playing Monopoly for years with
Mm.
nothing,
Right.
right? With
That part.
nothing.
With negative
And this
200.
is this right. And this ideology people selling, right? They selling that, oh, it was money. The man that was he equated. He said, oh, men had money. I said, no, he said women was at home and the men was out working and they were sharecroppers. I wish I had a picture, but I can't get it from my sister. Do you know my mama picked cotton at 8 years old? And
Mm,
she
So
was
did
born
mine.
in the 1950s.
mm,
It's a
So did
picture
mine.
of her, my grandfather, my grandmother, and another one of my uncles in the fields of Mississippi, Greenville, Mississippi, picking cottons. And this is in the 1950s. So sharecroppers was still going on then.
Facts.
And that's how they was
Facts.
making the coin.
and
And
they
for
weren't
some
building no
apparent reason,
generational wealth by and
no,
large.
because
No,
there
they
was
were
Not
not.
at
none to
all.
get. There was none to get. You know what I'm saying?
Not at
And
all.
people sitting up here, and we in the millennium, so they done made us look good on credit. Yeah, I say credit because
Mhm.
ain't no real dollars. They got these so-called um, celebrities out here trying to make it look like, oh, it's blinging and it's this. Look, you go take up a couple of courses on this music industry. The average person out there make 121,000 in the music industry after making a company billions or
Mm,
millions of dollars. You know what
mm,
I'm saying? That's why I say.
That's
And
facts.
then he went on to start talking about the black woman go, oh, you went and got an education. That education don't mean nothing. It don't mean nothing to a white man. It ain't this and it ain't that. And I'm like, talking about the education and you educate. I say, you know what? It was in the 80s and the 90s, right? When the educational level starts to drop for the black child, right? Because you know what they used to tell the kids? Books was for dummies. Remember that, child? Do you know how many kids equated and
Hmm.
listened to that crap and started trading in the street corners, right, for an education?
So I just want to say that it was not the kids who did that. It was black boys.
Hmm.
Mm.
We continued to go to school throughout the 90s.
I know that. I know. I'm just saying they traded that ideology in. Books was for
They made
dummies.
fun of the smart kids. The
Right.
smart
And
kids got
they
made fun
make
of.
their kids feel some type of way going for education. Not only that, the educational institution pushed a lot of those black men up and they didn't even know. Cause I had a nephew that got all the way up to the 8th grade and he was reading at the 3rd and 4th grade level. How did they get passed? And my sister was working. So he was a latchkey baby. Him and her husband was working. These kids was latchkey babies. It wasn't like two parents weren't in the household. It was just the fact that they start to pull the parents out, kids coming home by themselves. But she equated the education. Oh, your education don't mean nothing. Oh this, oh that. Stop saying
Yes, it
that
does.
learning the
It's one of
fundamentals
the.
of reading, writing, and arithmetic is not important. If you're walking down the street and you don't know what the sign said or the word on the sign, that is bad. If you're standing up in church, like I see some of these church folks that can barely read a Bible, and that's a Bible, that is bad. I see this. I
Mm-hmm.
see this going on with people. I go and I do GED, virtual GED with kids. I'm not going to even say kids, young adults every year. You know what I'm saying? They doing GED online. So when they have problems, I get on there and I encourage people to at least get an understanding. So when people throw policies and procedures in front of you with these new contracts that they're putting out here, and everybody should look at it. If your company has changed their name and gave y'all new paperwork, they pushing these blindsided contracts that sign people